Adam, maybe just talk a little bit about how the summer was, and over the course of the couple of 3 months or whatever, reflecting on what was a great season and then what wasn't a great postseason, and how how you want to lead this team going into 24-25. Setting the mindset.
Yeah, the summer was great. I think longer than what we expected, longer than what we want, and then I think that's where the reflection comes in, and how are ways we can tweak our game, how are ways we can improve and use that extended time off to get better, so that come the springtime, last year we put ourselves in a great position to have success. We had a great regular season, but find ways to now have success in the playoffs, and the intensity ramps up that much more. The importance of every shift. I think last year we took a big step forward in terms of our defensive game, 5-on-5 and limiting chances, and we had another great season from Helle, but now it's kind of building on that foundation that we've established here. And I think that's kind of our message, our feeling going into camp is we're returning a very similar team to the team we had last year. To start the year, a couple big losses on the back end, and some opportunity for some guys to step in into bigger roles, and how can we help make that easier transition. But there's areas of our game last year during the regular season that kind of held us back. You look at special teams, how critical a role those play in the postseason. We really struggled with Colorado's power play, and so that's an area where that's a big part of my job. And how can we find ways to get better on the penalty kill? Talking to Arnie, and I'm sure we'll make some tweaks, and bringing in Davis and bringing in Dean, and they'll certainly have some input on the special teams. But I think as we approach training camp, as we approach the start of the regular season, that's our mindset is how can we improve upon the solid regular season success we had last year, so that it translates into postseason success.
From an individual basis, Adam, I don't know if things came at you 100 miles an hour in your first year as captain, but obviously there are some things you know now that you might not have known 12 months ago. And so from that perspective, how much are you looking forward to this year individually?
Yeah, I think last year around training camp time, it was a bit of a whirlwind. Obviously with the announcement, and then kind of with Helle and Scheifele and the unknown there, and then getting them signed, and you kind of hit the ground running. And fortunately we didn't really have too many blips, and it was a pretty smooth regular season. And we have a great supporting cast, a lot of great leaders in the room that it really makes my job easy. So I think approach it similarly to how I did last year. I think I kind of just try and bring the effort, and show up for my teammates every day, and every day just try and kind of maintain our focus on our end goal, and that's winning the Stanley Cup. So there's a little more experience that comes along with having done it for a year, but I don't expect things to change a whole lot.
To that extent, did you watch a lot of the Stanley Cup playoffs like this past summer or spring? And a team like Florida, you guys were tied with them in the regular season. I think you went 2-0 against the Panthers during the regular season. Are there lessons maybe to be learned from seeing what it took a team like that, a team that had been close a few times, could never really get over the hump, but then finally did?
Yeah, well, I think there's not a whole lot going on kind of in the spring. Baseball's starting up, so I'm a fan of hockey. I watch the playoffs. I think you can certainly take things from teams that are able to go far, and even you look at how Edmonton was able to, their penalty kill wasn't one of the elite ones in the regular season, and they go on that run, kind of all the way through the playoffs. They're scoring big shorthanded goals at big moments, winning games strictly on, winning that special teams battle. You look at Florida, they lost in the finals 2 years ago, and they were really depleted at that point, and they kind of took those lessons, found how tough it is to win at that time of year, and it became a great defensive team, and that's the reason they were the last team standing.
An extra kick out of a Panthers Cup, or what?
I think he's happy for the fans in South Florida, and obviously Paul, Maurice, Jamie Compon, and everyone that we've had the privilege of playing with that have come through Winnipeg. We're obviously happy to see them, have success. I think Dave being there in the inaugural season and going on the cup run in '96, it holds a special spot in his heart for sure. I think he was really happy to see that organization finally kind of reach the pinnacle and have success. It's one of those things where they'll be able to grow their fan base. They'll be able to get more kids into hockey just because of these last 2 playoff runs and growing the game down south and in Florida. That's where I started to play hockey. That's where I learned to skate and things like that. So it's nice to see them have success.
Small captaincy detail question. On a day when Braden Yeager says he heard from you and Josh and Mark right away text-wise, how does that work? Is there a letter-wearing group chat? You all pass the number around and send out those texts, or is that an individual thing?
I think that's just an individual thing. I think we're excited to welcome him into the fold. We know what type of year he had last year, and winning the Western Hockey League championship, and he had a great Memorial Cup. I know they didn't ultimately kind of achieve their goal, but coming in, we know the skill set he brings. We want to make him feel comfortable. It's a unique situation being traded, from a team that you haven't even kind of played for. You haven't even been in their minor league system. So, we just wanted to make sure he knew he was welcome, and we're looking forward to seeing how he does in Penticton and then getting on the ice with him next week.